A powerful documentary premiered last month, shedding light on the remarkable journey of activist and filmmaker, author Silky Slim Reed. Life or Death, the Silky Slim story chronicles Reed's transformation from a feared gang leader to an acclaimed film director. Reed premiered his documentary as a testament to personal transformation. He currently runs a nonprofit, Stop the Killing, Inc., to help end senseless gun violence. Author Silky Slim Reed joins us to discuss his film Life or Death, the Silky Slim story. Silky Slim, how are you doing?
Doing fine. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Congratulations on this film. It's very powerful. And one of the things I wanted to talk about is in hip hop, we always talk about, and this came from motivational speakers, Zig Ziglar, who talked about getting a checkup from the neck up. Can you talk to us about your transition that led you from the life you were leading to the person you are today, that is captured in a documentary for those who haven't seen it yet?
Well, it was definitely a transformation that was God sent. I was in a very bad accident where all of my friends was killed, and I was the only one that survived.
Wow.
And that's what started to change my life around. It wasn't just the accident; it was the way that God showed me to save me. I heard a voice in my head telling me to look outside of the window and look at a billboard. I looked at that billboard and had a real car crushed up on the billboard and say, everyone wore a seatbelt, everyone lived. I've never worn a seatbelt in my life. I put that seatbelt on. I ended up taking it off. I laid back and covered up, and that same voice came back and said, put it back on, look outside. I looked outside, it was drizzling. I told my friend, I said, slow down, man, it's drizzling outside. He said, man, I got to go pay my income tax. And he continued to drive at 77 miles an hour, 18-wheeler, cross lanes, and knocked us over the side of the mountain. Everyone lost their life except me. So it's a God story, most definitely.
And we really appreciate that, because everybody has an opportunity. Dr. Willie Jolly says it only takes a minute to change your life. And sometimes in these particular situations, they can be tragic situations that lead us to the change. I want to bring the panel in as well and get their thoughts on it. But we're just so proud of what you're doing and the message that you're sharing with the world through this film. Reese, your question.
Yeah, my question is, what is the best message that you think this documentary will show to the youth and people who are so disillusioned and disaffected with kind of the way things are right now?
That the streets only have two things for you: a court date or a casket. I lived in the streets for 30 years. I've buried many of my friends. Wall Street Journal did an article on me that was called More T-Shirts Than Friends, and it was because of the memorial death T-shirts that I was wearing at the time. I had more T-shirts than friends. So I tell them that it's a court date or a casket. That's why this documentary is called Life or Death. You have the choice. You have the decisions to make, and it's those decisions that you make that will ultimately lead to if you live or if you die or if you spend the rest of your life in penitentiary. I think that the industry right now has a way of promoting all of the negative things, but anything that's positive, they try to push it. We can't show these type of bodies. We can't show people that's been killed, but you show them these things and put seeds in their head to go out and kill individuals, as you see with these wars that's going on in the rap game. There's no way that you should have millionaires dying in the streets like animals and not try to address that. So we try to address all of those situations. And I come from the hip-hop era. I come out of the rap game. So I'm familiar with everything that's going on. However, I see it as self-destruction right now, and I'm trying to reach them to let them know that there is a better way.
Lauren, your question.
I wanted to know how you got the documentary made. Documentaries are notoriously difficult to put together because of funding, this, that, and the other thing. So, Mr. Reed, how did you get it made? And were you in Uptown Saturday Night?
No, that's where I got my name from, most definitely, though.
Okay, all right. Okay, so, yeah. So tell...
Character in Uptown Saturday Night. I was a young kid. I seen that and I say, that's my name. And I carried that name ever since the day when I seen that movie. How did I get the documentary made? I saved my money, and I didn't have to. I kicked too much butt in the street to start kissing it in the suites. So I saved my money. I put my documentary together. I paid for it and made sure that I got it shot the way that I wanted in 4K, full standard, with any streaming network that's out there. So that's what I did. I made sure that I put together enough funds to go into this documentary and put it together myself where I didn't have to beg somebody to do my story. And of course, I'm an investigator with Ben Crump Law, and he seen the type of money that I was spending on this film, and he asked me, he said, man, why are you putting so much money into that film? I said, if I don't spend on me and believe in me, how in the hell can I ask anybody else to?
Right.
Now,
Excellent.
Now, you brought up something, Silky Slim, that I want to come back to, which is so important. And you talked about being in the game, being in the rap game, being in hip hop. What are you seeing in our youth today? You talked about doing the work on the streets. What are you seeing in the youth today that is different from when many of us were coming up? Are the challenges all the same? Are they dealing with more issues? So many of us came up during the crack epidemic when there were so many opportunities that weren't there in terms of jobs and the like. But some of us don't understand the youth challenges today. We say, oh, y'all got it easy. Y'all didn't have this or that. What are you seeing as it relates to what's happening with our youth today compared to what you came up in?
I'm going to tell you like I told Bishop T.D. Jakes. I get tired of people asking me what's wrong with the youth. It's the first three letters of the damn words that's the real problem. What's wrong with you? You're not trying to change the situation and you know that this is your child. What's wrong with you if you see the youth going astray and you're not out there in the streets trying to help them? I see individuals right now, oh, I want to talk to the youth. I want to help the youth. My question to them is always, why aren't you doing it? So many people say that they want to go after them, that they want to help them, but they're looking for a check. You got to go out there and do it for free. I did it for free for years. I made sure that I went and I became the change that I wanted to see, and then I went out there and implemented that change in individuals, and I wasn't looking for a check. I wasn't looking for anything in return. Only thing I wanted to do was save a life. Through my testimony, I gave my testimony at the National Guard's Youth Challenge Program. 1 o'clock in the morning, my phone rang, and it was the sergeant over the program. He said, man, I have a young cadet that really needs to talk to you in the morning. I went back and talked to the young man, and I asked him, I was like, what's wrong? He said, man, I want to commit suicide. I said, why would you want to do that? He said, I go home Friday. He said, I was going to commit suicide because I watched my father blow my mother's brains out and then stick a gun in his mouth and made me look while he blew his own brains out. And he said, I give up the gun. I don't want to kill myself. I've dealt with suicide. I had tried to commit suicide 3 times. God left me here for this purpose, to make sure that I show people that regardless to how dark it is, if God has his hands on you, there's nothing that you could do to destroy yourself, and God will put you on the right path so that you can change other people's lives.
So what do you say to the young person right now who may pull this up later or is watching it right now, who was living in the same type of despair that you talked about, or the same type of despair of some of these young people, like the young man you just mentioned, who watched those tragic murder of his mom and then the suicide of his dad, who feel like it's hopeless for them right now, and they need something to just kind of get them to go just another day, another 2 days, another week. What will you say to them right now if they're watching you?
Believe in God, but believe equally in yourself. You have to be the change that you want to see. Pray to God to help strengthen you to make that change. But at the end of the day, don't be afraid to make that change because you want to fit in. So many of us are trying to please man and don't care about how we try to look with God. So I made sure that I made the changes that I wanted to see first. And that way I could tell them, make those changes first. Be who you want to be. And don't let the gravitational force of what is make it impossible for you to see what should be. So many of our young individuals are caught up on social media, caught up with the celebrity hype and all of these things, and they look and marvel over everybody else's greatness and don't even look for their own damn greatness, which is already inside of them. You have to look for the real in you. When I was in prison, I was in my cell and I had a vision of many, many, many famous people, and I was stuck to the bed and I couldn't figure it out. And when it stopped, I stood at the bars and said, I'm getting ready to go home. I'm going to be famous. I'm going to be famous. I came home. I never became famous, but I walked in and looked at the wall, and I seen all of the famous people that God had showed me in that cell. And I stopped and I became real humble, and I thank God. I say, oh God, I said, it wasn't that you was going to make me famous. You took me around all the famous people. You took me around all the stars. And his answer to me, the only reason that you're not a star is you never look for yourself in the picture. Young people have to see yourself in the picture. You can be anything that you desire to be. You just have to desire to be something. And right now, what they're feeding you, have you designed to be nothing at all other than thugs and try to be gangsters. And when you get to the penitentiary, you will find out that the real gangsters are the one that's turning the key, locking you up every night.
That is just so powerful. And when I look at the name of the documentary, we talk about life or death, I like to say life is spelled L-I-F-E, and it stands for live it fully every day. And you are truly doing that, and you are a real inspiration to so many. And not only with the documentary, but with the work Stop the Killing, Inc. What I appreciate so much, Silky Slim, about what you're doing is that you not only speak it, but you put it out there right into the words. And so we're really hoping that everybody goes out to see this. Where can people go if they want to see this documentary and learn more about your organization?
We're working in different cities. You can go to www.stopthekillinginc.org, or you can go to Silky Slim 100 on Instagram. But we're premiering in different cities. We're coming to San Francisco. We're coming to New Orleans. We're coming to Miami. We're coming to Alabama. So we're premiering in different cities, and then we're working out a streaming deal as we speak that will have you where you'll be able to see it on a streaming service. So this documentary is very powerful. It's a life-changing documentary. I think every young man, every young adult should watch this documentary, and the parents too, because it teaches you how to be a parent. At the end of the day, you know, we can't continue to go down this path of self-destruction. We're the only people in the world that get paid and famous off for talking about our suffering in America. So we have to stop that and start raising the bar and become people that people respect. At the end of the day, I always tell individuals, we out in front of the White House, we're protesting. Sonia Massey just got killed. There are protests going on. Everybody's chanting Black Lives Matter. Black lives have to matter to black people first before it matters to anybody else, because if it don't matter to us, why should it matter to anybody else? So we have to start letting Black Lives Matter be a way of living and not a chant that we do in front of the White House. We got to do it in front of the Smack House, the Killing House, everywhere where we're losing black lives. We have to make that a way of living and not just a chant.
Thank you so much, Silky Slim. StopTheKillingInc.org, the documentary Life or Death. Please get out there and support it. Wishing you the best of luck and success with this project.
Thank you for having me on.
No doubt. And we will be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered.